Chapter 10, Mishnah 3. The Torah in Vayikra, chapter 23, verse 15, teaches that the Omer is to be harvested on the day following the Sabbath. According to the oral tradition, the Sabbath in this context refers not to Shabbos, but rather to the first day of Pesach, when most Shabbos restrictions are in force. The day following the Sabbath thus refers to the second day of Pesach, namely the 16th of Nisan, no matter which day of the week it is. However, two sects of non-believing Jews, known as Boethusians and Sadducees, who claimed to accept the written Torah but rejected the oral law, interpreted the Sabbath literally to mean the seventh day of the week. According to their false interpretation, the day following the Sabbath refers not to the second day of Pesach, but rather to the Sunday following the first day of Pesach. In order to show their loyalty to the true tradition, the sages decreed that the Omer be harvested on its proper date with much ceremony and fanfare. The Mishnah describes this ceremony, but first describes how barley stalks that were used for the Omer were prepared for harvest. How would they perform the harvest of the Omer? Agents of the court would go out to a barley field on Erev Yom Tov, i.e. the day before Pesach, and make fistfuls of barley stalks into bundles by tying them together at their tips while they were still attached to the ground, so that it would be easier to harvest the stalks when the time came on the second night of Pesach. Toward the end of the first day of Pesach, all the residents of the nearby towns would gather together there at the barley field in order to attend the harvest, so that the barley for the Omer would be harvested with great fanfare, to make the Boethusians and Sadducees aware that the barley for the Omer is harvested the night after the first day of Pesach. The Mishnah describes the harvesting of the barley. Once it became dark, signifying the arrival of the second night of Pesach, he, i.e. the one cutting the stalks, would ask those in attendance in a loud voice, "Has the sun set and night begun so that I may cut the barley?" They would say in response, "Yes." He would repeat, "Has the sun set?" And they would say, "Yes." He would then ask, "Should I cut the barley with this sickle?" And they would say, "Yes." He would repeat the question, "Should I cut the barley with this sickle?" And they would say, "Yes." He would then ask, "Should I place the cut barley in this basket?" And they would say, "Yes." He would repeat, "Should I place the cut barley in this basket?" And they would say, "Yes." When the harvest took place on Shabbos, he would ask them, "Should I cut the barley on this Shabbos?" And they would say, "Yes." He would repeat, "Should I cut the barley on this Shabbos?" And they would say, "Yes." The Mishnah returns to a question asked every year, whether the harvest took place during the week or on Shabbos. The one harvesting the barley would then ask, "Shall I harvest it now?" And they would say, "Harvest it." He would repeat, "Shall I harvest it now?" And they would say, "Harvest it." The Mishnah fills in a detail about the questions and answers. Each question was asked 3 times regarding each matter, and they would say in response, "Yes" the first time, "Yes" the second time, and "Yes" the third time. Why was all this done? It was on account of the Boethusians, who denied the oral tradition. For they would say that the time for the harvest of barley for the Omer is not on Motzei Yom Tov, i.e. the night following the first night of Pesach, which in Eretz Yisrael is the first night of Chol HaMoed, but rather on the first Sunday after Yom Tov. Therefore, the rabbis enacted that the agents raise their voices so that the Boethusians should hear and see that their position is rejected.